Well, I appreciate you guys for being on today and supporting the community. We do these meetups specifically to bring stories, right? That's the entire intention, is to tell stories because stories are so impactful. And I am excited about our speaker today. Our speaker, Jordan Auten, she is the creator and founder of Yoniswell, which is a surf collective that has just an amazing grassroots movement. It has the capability to impact so many people by giving them a community, a safe space. And we're going to learn more about how that's come to fruition with her. She was also a competitive golfer and moved from the desert, right out in Las Vegas to Los Angeles. And she's also a film director and television director, which means that she knows how to tell stories. So this is going to be an exciting interview. And I am just excited to hear her story, her mission for impact. And I want to thank everybody that's on this call today and those that aren't on it that are going to watch this later. Thank you for being here and supporting us and supporting Jordan. Having the impact to make these stories relevant and tangible and accessible to our community is what matters. So we're going to have the community members introduce themselves first, Jordan, so that you know who's on the call with you today to support you. My name is Adam Griggs. I am the co-founder of CLARAfi, which is a software platform, and I am your moderator today. Rachel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Rachel McCool from GoDaddy. I manage community experiences, and I'm so pleased, Jordan, to have you with us here today and hear your story. And man, you jack of all trades, you do a lot. So can't wait to hear more.
Welcome. Thank you. Jonathan, how about you?
Hi, my name is Jonathan Graziano. I'm on the GoDaddy team as well. I work on the social media team on the brand side. So chatting with customers, chatting with potential customers, with members of our community, and just working on language, strategy, and how we show up on social media.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Jesse.
Hey, I'm Jesse Wilson. I also work at GoDaddy with Rachel, actually. I'm part of the community team, and I primarily work with customers in the forums as well as internally. I do a lot of the back-end type stuff, so happy to be here today.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for supporting us. And we're so thankful for the team at GoDaddy for supporting us and the community members that are on here today, whether they're listening in or participating in the conversation. So without further ado, Jordan, why don't you give us a little bit of background into what makes you you and how you started on your journey to found Yoniswell?
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is really exciting, and anything that has to do with community and innovation, I'm all about being a part of and grateful to be a part of. So thank you for having me today. So to share my story, I grew up in Las Vegas. I played competitive golf from a very young age, 8 to 9. By the time I was 9 years old, I was traveling to Japan and playing in the Japan World Cup. I went there for many years as an adolescent. I also, for a long time, finished in the top 5 of Junior World, which is the international tournament that brings junior golfers together once a year in San Diego. And Tiger Woods was known to win that tournament every year, pretty much of his career. So it's a very, I guess, to be quite frank, the best junior golfers in the world go to that tournament. And I was playing in that tournament and basically just choosing golf at a very young age to pursue. I mean, I loved doing it. I enjoyed it. It definitely created, it basically created the foundation of who I am as a person. There's extreme integrity that comes with playing golf. There is discipline, there's a regiment, there's dedication. There's, I think, a lot of parallels to life and being able to handle adversity and choosing how to respond in a moment when it's not going your way. So golf essentially was a huge part of my journey, just becoming the person that I am today, currently as the founder and the founder of Yoniswell. So with that said, I just knew that I wanted to get a scholarship to college. So I chose golf at a very young age, dedicated my whole entire high school, college career to earning the golf scholarship and then fulfilling that purpose. But in the process, I knew that I wanted to be a film director. Age 16, yeah, no idea where it came from. I just knew that I wanted to tell stories, be a part of that process to help the greater good, to help the greater collective, to create a positive impact in people's lives through storytelling. So if I can evoke social and positive change within people, within their own lives, and the collective in general as a director, through storytelling, then that was the career that I knew I wanted to choose, that I knew I needed to pursue. I knew that it was a part of my purpose. So as I'm playing golf, doing this, I just knew, like, okay, as soon as I fulfill my college career on the golf scholarship, I knew I wanted to move to Los Angeles and pursue directing, which is like not something you really want to advise your children to do, probably. It's a very big risk. It's a very hard profession to have the ambition to even pursue the thought of. So I did it though. I graduated from college, fulfilled my golf scholarship, and then I applied to UCLA grad school for directing, and they accept 21 people a year, and I got in. So I moved to Los Angeles at age 25. It's a 4-year program. I got my MFA in directing. I am still pursuing that goal. So I've been working in the industry for, I guess, about 10 years now, a little bit over 10 years since graduating. And I have stuck to my original goal, which was to work on content that educates people about a subject matter that matters, whether it's women's right to choose, infertility, fertility. It can be some systemic racism. I've also directed content that has to do with the transgender experience, like how do we explore that perspective with compassion? So yeah, I've done it. I've pursued, or even coming of age stories about, going from being a teenager and growing into an adult. Like that also explores the human experience. So everything that I create content wise has to do with conveying the human experience and what that's like. It creates an avenue for people that don't have that perspective to then be enlightened to that perspective. And so in the process of that, I have experienced, I guess every human experiences grief or loss. And through experiencing grief and loss comes transformation and comes healing and empowerment. They all kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, I experienced some grief and some loss in my life over those 10 years. And essentially, I feel like I grew up into an adult during the last 10 years, even though I am 39 years old. So I believe I've stepped into the woman that I've always meant to be. And so in that process, because I am an athlete, I do have an athlete's mind. The reason why I love golf is because it generated this mental stimulus that helped me in every facet of my life. And so now I don't play golf anymore by choice, just because I lived that part of my life. But at 31, I knew that I wanted to not just learn, but really learn how to surf and make that one of my physical activities. So just like when I do CrossFit, it brings out that competitive nature that I have, that doesn't have to do with competing with other people, but it's all about bringing forth like challenging my body and my mind in a healthy way. So it's all about health and well-being, but like through what I learned from golf and just like the mental capability that our minds have in order to succeed in activities like that, I applied that to surfing. And so through the grief, through the trauma, through the healing, through the empowerment, I wanted to, surfing is a very male dominated sport. And so I knew that if I was experiencing the same desire to create a safe space for female surfers, well, then there's so many other female surfers out there that probably are having the same desire. And so Yoniswell was created out of my own desire to meet other like-minded women in a safe space, a safe environment where we could all connect. And if we're able to connect, then I bet we can relate to what we're going on in life. And so it became just a desire to bring a community together. And what it did was it started to attract the women who wanted to be a part of it. And it's now growing and building into essentially a safe community space for women to empower themselves, to empower each other, to heal themselves, and then to heal each other through the sport of surfing. And so even though it started out as a community grassroots movement, and it still is, it's in the infant stages of its effect, it is now a business, because there is, I am very new to owning a business, or this idea of building a business. Because for me, it comes from my heart and soul. It comes from an experience. It's coming from a narrative, a story that I'm trying to essentially bring light to help grow and nurture. But it is a business because there is a need. And the need essentially is there's a need for empowerment, there's a need for healing, and there's a need for connecting with other human beings that are sharing that same desire for that need. And so that is where I'm at with Yoniswell Surf Collective. I'm happy to enhance or tell you more, but essentially, yeah, that's how I landed here. So
you have an impressive background, and you and I talked about this before, being that you were in film and television directing. I'm a little intimidated being here interviewing you, but we appreciate you for being here and just sharing your story and your background. And I love the evolution of your story, right? You found ambition at a young age in both athletics and telling stories with intention and meaning. And you took that and you ran with it. And then you found an outlet, surfing, that was so impactful and so important for you. And you internalized it and you grew with it, and you've challenged yourself to share that. And sharing that has built a community, which is the first pillar, right, at Yoniswell. And community is so important. And that's blossomed into a business, which I think is just fantastic, because it means that you're doing things in the right way, and you're doing it so well that people want to support you and they want to perpetuate that. And that's such a real, amazing feeling. And I'm so grateful that you're here sharing your story with us. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for having me.
Hey, Jordan, can you talk a little bit about your business and what you do in it? Do you sell things?
Yeah. So again, we're in the infant stages of it all. But essentially right now we're coming out of lockdown, or we're coming out of COVID. So for a long time, our foundation is essentially the action is we meet up every 2 weeks. It's a community meetup, so it's free. There's a time and a place, and we all surf together. But before we surf together, there's some sort of healing ritual, or a grounding ritual, or some sort of way for you to connect with yourself before you go out into the ocean and connect with the ocean and the others with you. So it's, meditation, yoga, or, a certain type of workout, or we even have dance cardio classes. Like, it's something to positively put you into that mindset for you to connect with yourself. So that is the foundation of the community action. So business-wise, at this point, like, for example, on May 1st and 2nd, we have what is called our Weekend of Healing. So we've partnered up with Surfrider LA, who is the local Los Angeles chapter for Surfrider. And we have essentially invited a lineup of facilitators, healers, teachers to teach on that day, and create a safe healing space, or like for people to give themselves permission on that day. So you do pay for this day. The day starts with an open surf, which is free it's free because the ocean is free. It's from 8 to 10 a.m. And then from there we have a session of 3 classes essentially. So the first class is an opening prayer and essentially a journal session for connecting with yourself and why you're there. The second session is a dance cardio class. The third session is a healing sound bath. So that essentially you're paying for that one individual day. The second day is also starting with open surf, and then we lead into a yoga class, and then Surf Writer LA does a talk, and then we end with a tea ceremony. So these are all acts of, empowering yourself, bringing healing towards your physical mind and body. So that's a form of us running a business essentially. But at the end of the day, it's fulfilling a need that people are looking for. We are going to start an apparel line that is sustainable and specific to Yoniswell. That isn't in the works yet, but we're building towards that. But essentially right now we are just trying to continue the awareness with our community events, but then also have these events that people are wanting and needing to be a part of through the surf community, but also it generates, income for the people providing the service.
We just did a series called Go Forth that is it's all about this. It's a documentation of these three entrepreneurs who are all athletes turned entrepreneurs, or people who are working, they're extreme athletes, mountain climbers, base jumpers, who have taken this passion they have and they found a way to either turn it into a business or it just naturally occurred. I always get very curious about the mindset that it takes to be an athlete that does perform at either a professional, a collegiate, an elite level, and someone who has that confidence to go off and to start a business of their own. I think there are a lot of things that must have come from your experience as a golfer that have led you to have this confidence and this mindset to create this community and to invite these people into your space. I'm so curious if you could talk a little bit about what those things might be, what those parallels are, or if you recognize something where you went, I'm 16 and my grandparents owned a golf course while I was growing up. So I very much understand a lot of what you're talking about as far as just like making those decisions at the time. Like, I think a lot of times people will look at golf and they'll think like, okay, they're just kind of going across a green, but there's so much nuance that goes into it. There's so much that you have to consider before you do anything. And you have to be so calculated before you take an action. And that translates perfectly over to entrepreneurship. But I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that, because it's been such a theme over the past couple of months with content I'm seeing from GoDaddy. And I think it makes perfect sense that you'd be talking about this as well. So yeah, I'd love to hear a little more about that.
I really appreciate this question, because I know that people, they might grasp it a little bit, but yeah, they don't know what goes into. I mean, the perfect scenario is when someone says, oh yeah, well, I'm learning how to play golf, and can you give me any tips? Or like, I'm taking, it's like, there's so much that goes through my mind. But yeah, in terms of translating it from from playing competitive golf to making choices and then creating Yoniswell, I mean, essentially, yeah, when you're playing golf and you play at that level, you have a pocketbook, and the pocketbook is the entire golf course, right? And in your notes is, the pin placement, it's the wind factor, it's the way the green breaks, and like, how do you tell how a green breaks? Well, I don't know. Like, I just learned as a kid, like, how to look at it and then interpret it and then apply it through action. So like there's so much calculation, but a lot of it is feel. It's like an intuitive feeling that you just exercise over time in muscle memory. And so at age 16, I get a little bit embarrassed about like this, realization that came to me. I always knew, like, I grew up watching movies with my dad. So it was a very, like, I loved experiencing the emotion and the feeling and the inspiration that movies brought to my life, especially it was something I did with my dad. When I was 16 years old, I went by myself and watched the movie Titanic 5 times in the theater. Now, Titanic is a great movie. It is a classic movie, but I don't necessarily want to broadcast that that was the movie that inspired me to like make this decision at 16 years old. However, that's what happened. I just knew, like, if I'm going to a 3-hour movie by myself at age 16, that is probably more mature than my emotional intelligence, but it creates this feeling inside of me that's empowering me, that makes me inspired to do things in life and go after a goal, then yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell stories. So golf, playing competitive golf on that level requires practice, discipline, hours of doing the same thing over and over again, and then predicting what those conditions will eventually be like and change and shift over time, whether you're at a new tournament, a new golf course, whatever it is. So you are just, your endurance, your mental endurance and your mental longevity, those are the parallels, right? It requires those things to, for me, choose a career such as what I did, and two, to play golf at that level for as long as I did. And so if we're going to translate that, all those nuances to Yoniswell, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm still in it for the long haul as a director, and I'm in it for the long haul with Yoniswell, because I believe that with all of the obstacles in life and all the, challenging moments, this is what's going to create sustainability. And I'm not talking about the environment necessarily. When I talk about sustainability, I'm talking about like your internal compass and the person you are in this world, especially with everything happening. This is the sustaining foundation. Like Yoniswell represents the sustainability that we can create for ourselves so that we can live a happy life over time, because it empowers us, because it makes us happy, because it creates, again, I'm going back to the healing space. Like if you can empower yourself, then you can heal the parts of you that need to be healed so that you can move on and live a happy life. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, there's a lot of calculating there. There's a lot of dedication, but I know it's for the greater good and for the greater collective. Like this is bigger than myself.
Yeah, it's that discipline. It's that discipline and knowing, just having the faith that I'm going to keep working at this and this is going to work out for me because it's something I love and it's something I'm putting the effort into.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, I think the greatest businesses and brands that are out there are movements right now. I mean, really, they are. They're movements. When people buy into something with you and they see that you're in it for the long run, they want to be part of that. It's part of the story. Their characters, they're playing their part. And what you're able to do is translate what you saw at 16, which is storytelling and evoking emotion. And you've taken that and you've put it into your business. And I just think that that's so powerful, and it's been kind of left unsaid. So I just wanted to say thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And with that, I am going to speak into this part of the business. But again, it's from an authentic place. It's from a natural place. Like one of my goals for Yoniswell is for Billabong or, Rip Curl to come to us one day and say, oh, you're the real deal. You have this community of real women who are real surfers, who live their real lives, but they are on your Instagram feed representing what the real female surfer looks like and lives like. So if you go to our Instagram, which is a representation of our community and our business, those are all real women of our community that I have met through Yoniswell. And so that to me is like, that's unique, and so yeah, I mean, that's a goal of mine, and I'm a great manifester, so I'm putting it out there in the universe. But yeah, it goes back to, it's a movement, and it's from an authentic place within myself, and now it's bigger than myself. And with the dedication, knowing that, yeah, I'm here for the long haul, because this is not about me. This is about the need for what this space gives to these women on a bigger picture. So
Yeah, I absolutely love the manifestation. That is totally fine. Let's put that out there. We will all support you. You know, when things grow, they grow either naturally or through effort, and you're doing both because we were connected
Hmm.
by somebody else independently, right?
Hmm.
So the story is speaking on its own, and you've had so many shout outs and interviews lately that you can just see the growth. You know, I love following all of your articles and podcasts online, but you're right. Instagram is just showing the raw vulnerability and the connection that you have in your movement and in your grassroots community, and it's amazing.
And I definitely had this intention in mind. Like, it's a way for me to create content as a director. So like, we haven't even gotten started with the video content, you know? So this is just another way for me to pursue my passion and my dream, but it's all for the greater good and for a positive impact. So yeah, it's all really exciting.
Hey, Jordan, I'm going to have to drop because we have another event this morning, and Jesse's going to drop here in a minute too. But
Okay.
just a couple of things. One of which, love your passion, and the word that you use, authenticity, is really, really important. And I think, you know, that's what makes people gravitate more towards what you're doing, is being authentic, and all of the rest of it will come. Yes, it's gonna be work to build your business, but it just sounds like you have such an amazing foundation and your passion around that. So I just want to wish you the best. It's so
Thank you.
exciting. Come up to San Francisco, because there's a whole surfing community. Obviously, you lived in San Francisco. And I'm always amazed at the people that go into our really cold water. I was out at the beach last weekend, and I was like, I cannot believe people get into our cold water.
Yeah.
But anyways, take care.
Thank you so much. It was really nice.
All right, you
meeting
guys have a good rest of the
Thank
day.
you.
Yeah, I think the amazing thing is your brand is going to perpetuate. It's going to grow, and it's awesome that you've taken the availability that you have as a director and a storyteller and a connector, and you've turned it into a business that matters. And that business is going to allow you to do what you love, which is impacting and evoking emotion and creating a safe place. And I think that that's awesome. And I really hope that it becomes your full-time gig, because I want you to be challenged by, these major brands that want to connect with you because you are the real deal and you've created that space.
Yeah, thank you. I am going to say one thing to that. I'm currently developing a documentary series about minor league baseball, and I am very sure that there's nothing out there like it. So the timing is really working out, because essentially what I'm given is the chance to build Yoniswell, continue doing it this year, and then I hope to be directing that next year, next season, because Yoniswell will have like all the support it needs to at least allow me to do that still. So I'm really hoping that, yeah, it comes down to why can't we just choose careers and professions that do make us happy and do fulfill us? Like, it's absolutely possible. And I just know it because I'm doing it. So I believe that we all get to have that chance, you know?
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I love your story. Thank you for sharing and just opening up your world to us, Jordan.
Thank
You
you
know,
for having me.
yeah, it's fantastic. And we are so excited to watch you grow. I want to kind of open it up real quick to the members of the community that are here to offer either questions or kudos before we let them go.
I'll just say my last piece. I really enjoyed this dialogue today. It's so interesting to hear. We hear from entrepreneurs who are, in all different types of businesses and all different stages of their businesses. And the one thing that is so constant is that they just love what they do. Like, it makes my day to get to sit here and hear. I mean, I enjoy my job. I love my job, but it's so cool to listen to people who have really just I haven't taken the leap. You know what I mean? Like, to talk to people who have really just grown up and they said, like, listen, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm going to build this world around this idea. And one of the things another thing I've taken so much away from these meetings is how important community is to every aspect of your brand. And you're doing something all rooted in community. It's completely enmeshed in community. And it's just so it's really inspiring to hear you have all of these plans for what's next, because I'm with you. I totally believe it's going to happen. I totally believe it's going to happen. You just strike me as one of those people that's like, yep, I'm just going to accomplish this thing and then I'm going to move on to the next thing. And that's what's so inspiring to me and to anyone else who watches this. So I really appreciate you joining this. And I can't wait to follow your Instagram. I checked it out. I think it's great. It's really, really great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I really appreciate being here and just hearing your response. Thank you.
You bet.
I'm sorry that I hopped on late, but I loved the inspiring story that you were able to share that I did catch, and I look forward to hopping online and following your journey and your story and supporting you and learning more. I always think that it's so great when we can do something that we love. And the more people that get out there and do it, especially during hard times like this, right? In the middle of a pandemic, it's very inspiring to our younger generation. And it really can just help to, I think, sustain a happier future for many of us. So great job for all you're doing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
I love the brand, self-care, community, everything's being built around what you want, like you said. And I think you're going to find in a few years that the community is going to lift you up to where you have no choice but to continue to build it, which is going to be so amazing. So thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah. Thank you really very much. It's very inspiring to be here. And yeah, I'm so grateful. So thank you. It was really nice meeting you all.
Now, make sure everybody who's listening to this, go check out yoniswell.com, follow Yoniswell on Instagram. You guys will not be disappointed, and definitely connect with Jordan. She's an amazing person and she's got so much to tell. You will not be disappointed. All right, guys, have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one, you guys.
Bye.
Thanks again.